of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. I'm En Fuego here, welcoming you back to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment. That's right, and I am beyond elated to be discussing the film that I just got back from with you today. I sadly missed it back during the Phoenix Film Festival in 2019. There was lots of buzz about it. It is the umpteenth music film that I have seen this year, joining a cast that already includes Yesterday, Blinded by the Light, Rocket Man. But you know what? The film that I just watched is the absolute best. It's called Wild Rose. It stars Jessie Buckley, directed by Tom Harper. Tom Harper apparently has a pretty hefty background in British television, or at least UK television. He has done Misfits and Peaky Blinders, some work for the Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams, and so yes, this is a feature, and it is a fantastic musical drama, little spits of comedy here and there, but it is really just a story that we have seen before, but framed in a very just so sophisticated and heartfelt fashion. Wild Rose. Jessie Buckley stars in it, and she plays a woman from Glasgow who, Glasgow being in Scotland for all of you, I am Scotch-Irish, half Scottish, half Irish, and yes, Glasgow, Scotland, where she is apparently obsessed with country music, country and western, as she constantly corrects people not to say throughout the movie very awesomely. And so yeah, it's just this odd paradigm, because when we meet her right away, she's getting done with a year-long stint in jail, and she is kind of coming back to her two children, her mother who is very unhappy with her, and yet she is still not ready to let this dream of being a country singer die. And so here on Enfuegotainment, I always like to cover the BUENO, the MALO, and the FEO, boom, 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 just like you see below. And the BUENO is, as I often like to say here, in abundance. This movie it's beautifully shot, and the use of both originals and so many there's a lot of country songs, even though you see the long hair, and yes, I play heavy metal, I grew up as a punk kid, but there was a girl that I dated a few years ago who really just turned me on to this sort of music when I had never really listened to it very much growing up, aside from, hearing some Creedence and, when we would go up north and hunt and stuff here in Arizona, the deadly desert, as I often call it. The only kind of radio stations that we would get up in northern Arizona were country stations, and so I heard a lot of late 80s, early 90s stuff, Garth Brooks and Clint Black and Reba and stuff of that nature. But a lot of modern country that I have heard lately, yes, a lot of it is slick and glossy, and it's really just pop music with a twang, but real, legit, heartfelt, awesome country, there's a lot of it still being made, and there is so much classic stuff, from, old Hank to, I've always really liked kind of that outlaw country, type vibe, like Cole and, I don't know, Jennings and, Willie and stuff like that. So that stuff I've always appreciated. The country that kind of had kind of a dangerousness to it. And I mean, I hate to give it even more credit than it's already received, but I have to really say Bradley Cooper's character in last year's remake of Star is Born, his country kind of vibe and stuff that he was doing was really impressive in my estimation. And I don't know, man, I mean, Crazy Heart and stuff like that. I like these sort of music films that, Country Strong, damn, that was another one. That one was rough. But yeah, so long story short though, we're here to talk about Wild Rose, and I think that this can easily stand with some of those films that I just mentioned that have received a lot of acclaim, and rightfully so, because Jessie Buckley's performance is wonderful, the selection of music throughout is tremendous, and I really credit the fact that she started out as a singer. She's Irish, actually. And she was discovered on one of those television talent show type things, which it's funny, she's urged to do, her character, Rose Lynn, is urged to do that at one particular point in the film, and she does not seem very interested in it. And yet, she's so determined to get to Nashville, and yet she has a voice that really leads you to believe she deserves to be there, 100%. This girl, despite becoming an actress over the last, 5-6 years, I think, as I was looking at, just her body of work and stuff like that, she decided she wanted to actually go and study acting, despite the fame that she had already seen as an actress, and so, as a singer. And so she is a double threat at this point. She really is, because there are so many points in this, and she sings all of her own stuff in it, and her voice is tremendous. The talent is just mind-blowing. and she's beautiful, and she just has such, she's got an edge to her, and yet she has an earnestness and a tenderness at times. It's just such a multifaceted performance. Miss Buckley carries this movie on her shoulders as well as she carries a tune, and damn does she do a tremendous job with it. She really legitimately does. And her kids are great too, and the fact that it is such a strained relationship. They don't see her while she has been in jail, you know, for stuff I'm not going to mention, because when you do find out what it is, it's kind of surprising. Not only that, the dynamic with her and her mother, which is very estranged as well, and yet her mother, you can tell the love is still there, and yet the tough love is being implemented at times. And so she helps her out by getting her this job cleaning a house through a referral to a friend and stuff. And so she starts cleaning the house of this rich family, and it in turn leads to some more connections and doors being open for her to possibly showcase her talents to some big important people, BBC Radio. I don't want to spoil too much here because I urge everyone to go and see this movie. It is as bueno could be. I hope I said the bueno. If I didn't mention that, yes, I did say the bueno is in abundance, but I've just been railing off for these last few minutes. I couldn't even remember if I had properly started this section and stuff. But as far as MALO goes, really the only bads that I can think of are the fact that this is it's a story of just a flawed character that just so badly wants to make it and has the talent to do it, and yet doesn't always make the right decisions. And I'll get more into that in the Feo, but really, with the exception of that familiarity and some of the tropes and some of the aspects being a little predictable here and there as far as the scripting goes, there's really pretty much no MALO to mention in this story, with the exception of that aspect where, okay, sometimes there's times where you can definitely see where things are going, but there are a few curveballs thrown at you too, which is what makes this, beyond the amazing talent of Ms. Buckley, it's what really just makes this, stand above the shoulders of other similar films that have come before it. Boy, the Feo, the ugly. The ugly is in some of the decisions that this character makes when you just so badly want her to make the right ones, and it's tough to watch, and that's ugly at times. There are at least a half dozen instances in this movie where that thing transpires, but then there's other times where she surprises you. So I'm not here to spoil the proceedings or anything like that, but you just see a few times where you're just like, you're gonna pull your hair out because you're just like, don't do it, come on now. And yet it's ugly, some of the tears that this grown-ass man was on the verge of shedding, and did shed a few other times as well. So that's me just being honest and admitting here just how much this movie got to me. It's hey, if you are not moved by certain aspects of this and you don't just feel, I don't know, it's kind of an ugly thing to be vulnerable sometimes, and yet it's a beautiful thing at the same time. So those are really the major mentions that I had to at least get out here, because of the fact that Wild Rose it's one of the best films that I have seen this year, like legitimately, and it's definitely without a doubt the best music film that I've seen this year, when there is a rather large crop of them. I mean, thanks to Bohemian Rhapsody last year and all the acclaim that it got. I don't know though. I mean, I'm wearing a shirt of the Swell Season, which is, Glenn Hansard and, Marqueta's band, one-time band. They unfortunately, when they split up, they went their own ways. But Once is one of my favorite films ever. And as far as, characters struggling and striving and stuff, this shares some similar DNA to that as well. And, I mean, God, that same director did Sing Street, also another Irish film, and I mean, I just have this kinship in my heart as a musician myself, as I put forward earlier, and I just love this sort of. The best characters, in my opinion, are the ones that are not squeaky clean, and they do have those flaws. I mean, Larry Underwood from The Stand, I hate to take it to Stephen King, I always do. He's my favorite Stephen King character, and he is also a musician. Baby, can you dig your man? He's a righteous man. And that's the thing. He's another character that is talented and wants to do the right thing, but just doesn't always make the best choices. And that is totally what we kind of have with Rosalind's character here. But What a performance, everybody. What a performance. It's fantastic. One of the best that I have seen this year. Not sure if, I know it had a lot of buzz on the festival circuit, and with good reason, obviously. I don't know how much that buzz is going to carry over once we get to awards season, but in my estimation, it really genuinely should. It's an incredible film, and if you're especially a fan of music movies, it's not a full-on musical, but it is definitely, a movie about music with wonderful, wonderful tunes throughout, tunes that will, lift your spirits and get you wanting to line dance, and others that, you should probably be sitting with a bottle of whiskey at 3 in the morning listening to and trying not to, just, I don't know, cry all over your table or wherever the hell you're sitting, or, in bed you're lying in, or whatever the hell it may be. I don't know. I've had my fair share of evenings like that. Oh, here and there, and anybody who, some of the best country, man, it just hits you in those particular feels, as this movie most certainly accomplishes. So I have been Jaime En Fuego, and I have to at least hit you with a final rating here at the end. This is 4 out of 5 Fuego Fireballs. Easily, it is a certified Fuego film, as you see the hashtag down below, and I urge everybody once again to go and see that. But yes, I'm En Fuego, as I said, and you can find me on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on the YouTubes, where if you have not liked and shared this video, please do, but definitely, as importantly, is to hit the subscribe button. I'm on a bigger YouTube channel where we have almost 28G in the subscriber count, but this is a labor of love because that channel is very genre specific as far as covering horror and spooky stuff, and you can check that out at youtube.com/The Horror Show channel if you want to see trailer reactions, film, novel, comic, and television reviews of all kinds of scarific stuff, as well as convention coverage, unboxings, video game let's plays. But really, I'm very adamant about giving this channel that I started a few years ago and then pushed to the wayside just as much attention as possible here in the year of 19, because I love all forms of cinema, especially just great, dramatic, indie, borderline art house, but really just fantastic music films like this. And I would be remiss if I did not lastly mention the third YouTube channel that I am on every single Monday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, on Williscredia, as you see it spelled below. That's right, that is the name of the YouTube channel where I am a co-host on a program called Show Business, hashtag Show Business, and that is where we talk about the weekend domestic box office and international numbers from the weekend that just was, and then we look ahead to the weekend that will be, and we just do a little preview of some of the films that are coming, make some box office predictions there, and we also look back at some of the biggest news stories of the previous week. So that is always a lot of fun. Shout out to CP and Lindsay, who are my co-hosts on that, and CP for inviting me as the showrunner there on Williscredia. So that is going to be the end of it, and I guess until the wheel, I should say the reel of Ka, I'm just thinking about Wheels of Turning and how they talk about it on so many country songs, man. But until the reel of Ka comes around once more, I say hasta luego, cinemigos, but I am hopeful that we get to share more of this film and music palaver sooner rather than later. And I guess until then, adios, y'all.